On this entry of the STEM journals, sharp students and their mighty mentors. Is the next Tesla among these young innovators?
Author, musician, meteorite hunter, adventurer. I've led an eventful life. Now I'm exploring exciting STEM careers and recording what I find in the STEM journals.
I wanted to love science as a kid, but I was not impressed by the dusty labs and grumpy old teachers of my youth. While I daydreamed of rocket ships and alien invasions, I was pretty sure that the lab supplies I was expected to learn from were leftovers from the Victorian era. Beaming ahead a few years, science is happily very much part of my everyday life and career. I'm amazed by the sci-fi type tools available to today's students. Students who are at an age when fresh ideas and wonder can lead to astonishing possibilities. I'm heading over to ASU's scene to find out more. Catherine, I have a profound question for you. How do we inspire and encourage the next generation of innovators to change the world?
Well, you know, Geoff, all we have to really do is let them do science. Science is an exciting discovery process. It's not vocabulary and concepts.
So you're talking about learning by doing.
Exactly. And if you want to see somebody doing that right now, you should look around here for Sarah Galvin. She started doing research with us in high school, and now she's here at ASU continuing an amazing project.
I will, thank you.
Okay.
Hey, Geoff, what you doing?
You're world-famous young scientist Sarah Galvin.
I am.
International Science and Engineering Fair winner.
Yes, sir.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
I'm very impressed. I understand 1,700 students competed from around the world and you won best in category. That's rather impressive.
It's a big honor, and honestly, it surprised me that I won.
I saw some footage of the event and it looks like a pretty exciting spectacle. What did you take away from that?
I took so much away from the Intel Science Fair. It was incredible, the people that I got to meet, and not just at the student level where I was competing, but they had so many people come in from different projects to really teach us what we can do, the potential of humanity, and what we as scientists will be able to add to the world.
And this isn't one of these high school things where you have kind of a toy lava flows and things. This is potentially world-changing discoveries that you're working on.
It is a little bit more advanced than the average science fair. Yeah, we have people from all over the spectrum, people working on cancer, robots, sending stuff into space, and then a little bit of what I was doing in the next generation electronics.
What made you want to compete in something at this level?
I've been interested in science for as long as I can remember, and I started kind of working with experimental science at a very young age, around kindergarten, when somebody told me that scientists get to blow stuff up. So I was like, yeah, all right, let's blow stuff up. And then I kind of progressed and I realized, well, I don't always get to blow things up, but chemists, they get to blow stuff up. So I wanted to do chemistry. And then I took all my chemistry classes. I still hadn't blown anything up, so I decided to try something a little bit different and then fell into what I'm doing now.
Well, I have to tell you a secret, which is I also got into science because I thought I was going to get to blow stuff up. Sarah, I've heard the word Spintronics used in relation to your work. That's what, public relations software for a robot kind of thing?
No, not at all. No, Spintronics has to do with electrons and their spin. It's an abbreviation for spin transport electronics. It's a next generation of electronic devices that are based on the quantum mechanical property, a tri-layer or a pentalayer structure, a new type of material, a Husler alloy, to create a magnetic tunnel jump characteristics in their underlying substrate. They function in the same way that a normal electronics would do, but much smaller and faster.
Okay, well, of course I understand that. I understand. But if I had to explain that to my young STEM investigators, how might I simplify that a bit?
All right, let's take it down a notch. Spin transport electronics, or Spintronics, deals with the way that an electron works. And an electron will act like a little bar magnet, with one end bringing things to it and the other end pushing it away. We can use that two-sided part of the electron, and if we can change the way that it's oriented, so take it facing you and then make it facing me, I can change that, and with changing it, I can use that to make an electronic device. So instead of moving an electron, I'm just flipping it.
Hence the phrase using electrons like magnets in relation to your work.
Absolutely.
What is the practical application of all of this?
Spintronics is a huge, huge field, and it is going to be everything in the future. From your cell phone to the supercomputers that we use to send men into space, and anything and everything in between. Your calculator is going to be based on Spintronics in the future. All right, Geoff, I want to show you the shielded room.
Now that is a really big door. As a high school student, you were here working at ASU through the SCENE program and with various mentors. So from a comparatively early age, you had access to all this incredible equipment and labs.
Yeah, SCENE has been an incredible opportunity because not only do I get to work with incredible people like Catherine Kyle, my advisor Nathan Newman, I also get to deal with other similarly minded high school students. It's a really fantastic opportunity to mix and establish really good connections. So not only do I have the professional mentorship from the people who have been in the field for so long, I also have a more personal connection.
I imagine you've also met some really interesting people through all the science fairs you participated in.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I think you need to head down to Tucson to see my friend Tapasia for some tea.
Tea? With Tapasia? In Tucson? It sounds terrific. It's tea for two, all right, but I can't believe what it's made of. Up next on the STEM Journals.
I'll have thousands of students.
I'll have a lot of teachers.
Many of these bright young minds will change the way we live in the future.
Maybe I'll be the one who finds a cure.
With STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math,
I'll have a great career. And maybe I'll change the world.
no doubt.
Copperpoint is proud to sponsor STEM education because students who excel in science, technology, engineering, and math will solve the challenges of tomorrow. Copperpoint.
When I was a kid growing up in the UK, my mother's idea of tea was beans on toast. Beans on toast, can you imagine? So I was very excited when Sarah suggested that I visit her friend Tapasia Trivedi for a decent cup of tea. So I drove across the state with my favorite teacup in hand, and I even picked up some bickies so we could have a nice little snack. It'll give me a chance to put my feet up, have a breather, and hear all about Tapasia's research. Are you Tapasia?
I am.
Hi, I'm Geoff.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. Sarah Galvin said that I should come have tea with you, and I brought this special mug, see, saving the Earth from asteroids and all that, and also biscuits, if you're good.
Oh, well, this is actually a biosafety level 2 lab, so you wouldn't want to drink or eat anything in here anyways. This is actually made out of animal manure. It's not green tea, not black tea. It's made out of compost from poop pellets, essentially.
Tea from animal manure, why would you have that?
I'm kind of an environmental junkie, and I found that you can use this compost tea instead of chemical fertilizers.
So you're saving the world too?
Yeah, are you?
I am
Awesome.
doing my best.
Yeah.
Now, I've found in many aspects of my work, geology and archaeology and other fields, we have found traces of fertilizers in all kinds of samples. So we see contamination in a wide variety of environments. So if you can remove chemical fertilizers, you're actually taking toxins out of the environment.
Yeah, chemical fertilizers get into the air causing pollution, it gets into the water causing water toxicity, it gets into the soil, and sometimes the chemical fertilizers are so strong that they kill off the plants too. Not a lot of people know that you can kind of liquefy compost and turn it into compost tea. A lot of farmers use compost right now. They use the poop pellets and they put it on the soil, but when you mix water with it, basically, you can use it on the plant leaves.
Is that the manure?
Yes, it is. It's Malibu cow manure.
Is this alcohol? So is that the science experiment that you presented at ISEF?
Yes, it actually is. I was testing my compost tea for the bacteria count, for the color of the tea over time, and the pH of the tea.
Oh, very thorough.
Yeah, so basically, as you can see through here, you can't see through it very much. It's very turbid. There's a lot of bacteria in it. So from my research, I found that that's really good. When there's a lot of stuff, when it's really concentrated, that's when it's the best. I also found that a neutral pH is good, and I found that obviously when there's more bacteria, it's more beneficial for the plants.
Turbid, that's a good word. We don't hear that
turbid,
often enough. What was your ISEF experience like? Did you enjoy it?
It was a lot of fun. There were people just like me who are so interested in science and engineering and math and compost. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Everybody there was just having a really good time. You would think it would be stressful because we're competing for all of these different awards, but it was a lot of fun. Everyone there was really nice, and you see people from 70 different countries, so you're really exposed to all of these different cultures. It was a really great experience. The way I got to ISEF was through the regional and the state fair from Arizona. I won first place in both of them, and through the state fair, I got to Intel ISEF.
You're a really fantastic role model for my young STEM investigators. I'm so impressed by that.
Thank you.
Manure tea, they say. I am so impressed that at the advanced age of 16, you've exhibited and competed on a regional, national, and international level.
Thank you.
You must feel very pleased with your accomplishments so far.
Yeah, I had people with me every step of the way, starting from school with my teacher to coming into the lab. Dr. Ravi Shankar has helped me out so much. Even before I started this project, all the grad students and undergrad students, they've helped me figure out what was going on with my experiment and getting familiar with the lab, so it was a group effort.
We love that. Instructors and mentors helping the next generation. After all of your accomplishments, what's next for you?
Well, I'm going to be in college next year, and I want to be a pharmacist, so I'm kind of shifting gears, and I'm working in a neurology lab right now. I think it's really interesting how different parts of the brains, neurons, dendrites, axons, I could go on, how all of them just come together in this little thing that you have in your head, and it tells you when to blink your eye or when to move your leg. I think it's extremely interesting and really fascinating.
What's really fascinating is seeing forward-thinking teenagers like yourself grappling with these big problems.
Thank you.
Keep saving the world.
You too.
Coming up on the STEM Journals, I make a return trip to ASU to connect with mentors on the scene.
Deanna was an everyday normal teenager going to high school. Then all of a sudden, she came to my doorway and she said, Mom, my body went numb. One of her blood vessels in her head burst and it sent her into a stroke. She was airlifted to Phoenix Children's Hospital. But when it comes to your children, you always want the best care for them. And they definitely provided the best care for my daughter, because if it wasn't for them, she wouldn't be here today. Phoenix Children's Hospital saved Deanna's life.
STEM Journal Supplemental. I've spent time with some accomplished young innovators who were quick to point out they wouldn't have been able to advance their careers without help from their mentors. So how does a promising student become a professional scientist? And who encourages them to ask the really big questions we all want answered? I'm back here at Scene to find out. Geoff, I know you're a mentor here at ASU. What's your insight into inspiring the next generation of researchers?
Well, I've been here at ASU for about the last 10 years and worked with students all the way from high school students all the way up through graduate students getting their PhD. And mentoring is one of the most critical aspects to having these guys be successful scientists and engineers for our future. I consider it the main objective of a professor like myself who runs a research group. One-on-one is so critical to advancing young scientists into mature scientists, because it gives them a chance to really interact with somebody who has a much broader scientific background. And it's important for both the mentor and the mentee.
I see that you really care about this. There's real passion in what you're saying. It's wonderful.
Well, it's most of what we do as scientists and researchers. I rarely get in the lab myself. It's almost always working through students that the science in my lab gets done.
So what I take away from this is in the process of mentoring and teaching the next generation, you're kind of relearning it and revalidating your own knowledge.
Yeah, of course. I think it's so critical. I think that's what makes my job's so great is that we all come with this huge amount of assumptions we make every day because we think we understand a topic, and they make us constantly go back and revisit those assumptions. And it's often at the very fundamental core of science and our understanding of nature that we make real discoveries when we find out some of those assumptions weren't really true.
Michael, I know that your area of expertise here at ASU is semiconductors, and you're also a mentor. You're helping to train the next generation of inventors.
I mean, for me, it is exciting to work with high school students because they are, I would say, natural-born explorers. Didn't we all want to explore at that age? And it's great to expose them to what we are doing in a college setting. The experience here in a college environment allows you also to set up your path where you want to go. Because it's by no means clear when you're in high school what you want to be later on.
I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I know you're a professor here at ASU, and you're also a mentor. What is important to you about mentoring?
First of all, we are bringing in high school students to our labs to have them work on real-world problems, and they don't see that in school.
I think it's such a fantastic opportunity for students in high school to get a real hands-on look, not just at what it's like being in college, but what it's like working in these STEM-related disciplines.
Absolutely. And what these students get also is the experience of multiple mentors. So I, as a faculty, I don't get to spend a lot of time with them, but they spend a lot of time with my graduate students and the undergraduate students who work in my lab. So they get to talk to them, their perspectives of what it is, cutting edge, what fields they've chosen, and they get really excited about the feedback that they get and what they do in the labs.
Joe, you're in a pretty unique position here at ASU because you have a mentor and you are also mentoring other students. So having experienced the concept of mentoring from both sides, why is it so important for young students?
Well, I really originally got started in mentoring for my own personal reasons, which was that as a teenager, I didn't really get much advice from anybody in how to go into a scientific field. And so I really try to be a part of students' lives in order to give them that advice and guidance that I really didn't have growing up.
I know that the SCENE program is very proactive in encouraging students to participate in International Science and Engineering Fair and that kind of thing. What's the advantage to students?
When they have to go to one of these science and engineering fairs, they have to think about their work, they have to put it together and be able to explain it to not just me, but to people who don't understand the field, aren't familiar with science even in general. And so they have to really understand what it is that they're talking about and the research that they've done. So I make them practice it and think about it and work on it a little bit.
That is really good. Hands-on learning and hands-on preparation.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Good stuff. I think in conventional learning situations, students are used to solving conventional problems. There's a known answer. How do you get them to move away from the textbook and ask those really big questions?
Well, actually, I think getting students to ask really big questions is easy. They ask them naturally. You don't have to prompt them. Helping them to try to take those questions and be able to actually try to start solving them themselves, now that's challenging. I think that's what's really exciting about the SCENE program, what we're doing at younger and younger ages with students learning science and engineering.
I really like your take on that. The big questions are already there.
Yeah.
You just need to maybe give them a little push and a little encouragement.
Yeah, exactly.
Part hackerspace, part makerspace. We try out cutting-edge tools in an innovator's playground. Still ahead on the STEM Journals.
Arizona companies see a bright future, from high-tech jobs in aerospace to outer space, renewable energy, crops for the future, and healthcare for the coming decades. Arizona will need more than 150,000 workers in the coming years with skills in science, technology, engineering, and math. Copperpoint supports companies prepared for Arizona's economic growth. Copperpoint.
I've been traveling around Arizona meeting Innovators and Mentors. Have you been keeping up?
I have been keeping up with your journal entries, Geoff, yes, and? I'm very impressed.
Thanks.
Oh, by everyone you've met.
Oh.
Oh, and you did a good job, too.
Oh, thanks. Well, look, the point of this is to inspire young STEM investigators such as yourself to greatness.
So I bet you brought us here to explore some high-tech equipment?
Yes, because I find that I thrive best in a learning by doing environment. And if I'd had resources like this when I was a kid, I might have been the next Tesla.
Well, let's just hope a few light bulbs turn on for you today.
John, it's such a marvelous facility, and some might call it a hackerspace or makerspace, and you have all these resources that must be such an encouragement for creativity and innovation. What kind of people come here and use TechShop?
Yeah, you know, Geoff, we're open to pretty much anyone. We get artists, we get guys that have been in industry professionals for 30, 40 years, engineers. We get hobbyists, we get folks who've never seen some of this equipment before who really just want to make things, and we're open to all of that. We teach you how to use the equipment, and we make it easy.
John, there's so much equipment here. I feel like you can make anything. Where do I even start?
And you know, Becca, sometimes it's just really overwhelming when you come into a place like this. There's so much to do and see. You just really have to pick something that really interests you, that you really enjoy. Take a couple of classes. We can teach you how to get off the ground, get a project going. Once you're in here, you collaborate with a bunch of other people, start building new projects. Yeah. So, Geoff, we're in our 3D printing and laser cutting studio. This is our gateway tool, the laser cutter. Everybody loves the laser cutter.
I bet. I just got back from a dinosaur dig in Wyoming. This is perfect. I want to do this.
Yeah, we can definitely teach you how to do this. You just have to start off slower. You know, we got to get you into a class, make something really basic, and then we can teach you more about the advanced uses for rapid prototyping, getting to a nice finished product in a really quick and cool way.
John, it must be really interesting to work in a place where there's grinding and welding going on every day.
Oh yeah, every day it's something different. There's so much equipment and so many things that people are working on, we just never know what they're gonna do. From the rapid prototyping side of things, where they're just making something small, it's done in a day, to something like this project behind us, it's gonna take 2 or 3 months to finish.
I think the thing I find most appealing about TechShop is the diversity of resources that you have here. So someone might come in thinking they want to do woodwork and go, oh, look, metalworking, 3D printing. So it's got to encourage innovation.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's, I think, the one thing. You see a lot of people who do that cross-pollination. They didn't realize they were really going to enjoy something like that.
Have you witnessed that, where someone's come in and they're fixated on one thing? I must be a woodworker.
Oh yeah.
And then they say switch to something
everybody
else.
that comes in thinks they want to do one thing in particular. And it's almost always, they see the lasers, they get excited about the lasers, and then they move on and say, you know, you have this metal shop here, what can I do with that? Some of the best projects I've seen have come from people who didn't realize what they wanted to do when they walked in the door.
So this is the biggest piece of equipment I've seen all day, and I'm guessing it's not where everybody goes to wash up when they're done with the day.
No, definitely not. This is a water jet. This works on 60,000 PSI of water. It can be very dangerous. It's very important that we have safety classes for all of our pieces of equipment, specifically for something like this. You could do some serious damage if you're not trained properly.
Some of this high-tech equipment might be a little intimidating, but with the proper training, I could do it with no help. It is exciting to think that this could be used to make the next big idea a world-changing reality, and that today's makers could be tomorrow's difference makers.
So what are your next steps? Challenge yourself to think big, to look at all the possibilities, to think outside the box. Next, become well-rounded. Learn a little bit about a lot of different disciplines, because at the intersection of those disciplines is where real innovation takes place. And finally, consider joining the maker movement, either at school or in the community, where you can work with like-minded people to help you to build your solutions.